I've come into Ashridge Forest today with my puppy Quintus and my older dog Dieter. Dieter began as a puppy in this forest like Quintus is doing over there, they're both sat, and I have to teach him recall. In a forest, unlike open landscape, you don't get many chances. Squirrels, rabbits. In this forest we've probably got several hundred deer in large herds. I meet these deer, whether they are fallow deer or mudjack, I meet these deer virtually on every walk, sometimes as close as 10 yards away. Sometimes they stare at me with their great big horns on the male, the big antlers, and to a dog this is just something that's mysterious. And when Quintus first saw these animals, he was just amazed but as soon as they start to run, because they are a prey animal, they run, that then ignites his hunting behaviour. It's critical to understand that chasing animals for a dog is normal. What I'm trying to teach him is abnormal. It's against his instinct. And he has to learn to come when I call him. It is not optional. In this very, very large forest round here, many dogs chase deer virtually every week. Some of these dogs are killed on the roads around Ashridge Forest. Others catch the deer, especially when they've got small deer with them, and they will savage the deer. I come across many people in the same woods who say to me, how come your dogs ignore the deer? How come you've got such control over them? Well, the obvious reason is I'm a trainer, but I also explain to them that when they're learning how to get their dogs to come to them in, say, a training club, or if they're self-training in the park, there are few distractions as powerful as the distractions in the forest. In the open fields where I walk, probably a mile from here, I can see deer in the evenings, and I can see herds of up to 200 deer. And eventually my dogs have to walk through them without a lead and without a line. So from the minute I get my puppy, I'm training him on a long line in my own garden. You can see some of that here. Good boy! So now I take that off. Quintus, come. Good boy, good boy. Good boy. Come. Good boy. Sit. Stay. And that's the training. He's now 8 months old. That's the training I've been giving Quintus. And that's off lead at 50 yards. And the deer were about 50 yards away. And that's what I want to obtain. Now, he's seen many deer in these woods in the last 2 or 3 months offline, and the deer are there. There they are. A bit dark, and Quintus is there. So he can still see them. He knows they're there. Now they're off in the woods, running away. And I'm very happy that I have a dog now that ignores all the deer in the woods, along with my older dog, Dieter, who learnt this 8 years ago, and using the same methods of long line, recall and rewards. And if he doesn't come on the line, he will be checked. There's no second chances, because once a dog started to chase deer and had the success of the hunt, unfortunately it's very difficult to reverse, because it is a natural instinct, and what I'm teaching him to do is abnormal, to come to me rather than hunt. I often use the Kong and retrieve to teach Dieter, to help him to come, to give him more interest in the Kong than other distractions. Now, so you might think, well, why is he picking up a very large log for me to throw to him, which I can't throw because it's too big? Well, he's got osteoarthritis now, so I'll have to stop using the Kong because it's speed running at full belt, and he's a little bit frustrated these days, so he'll pick up a log or something for me to throw. Obviously I'm not going to throw it, but using the Kong when he was early was a great distraction and it helped me. But even though I used the Kong, I always used the long line to reinforce, so that at all times I had control. He couldn't go off and chase horses, sheep, rabbits or squirrels, anything of his own volition. I had control. And once I had that control and he was coming 9 times out of 10, I then started to bring him inside the woods, where it's far more difficult to use a line. But by this stage he was coming. Although Quintus is 8 months old now, he's still learning. And I'm really pleased with him, because in the last 2 to 3 weeks we've had deer, big stags, lovely sets of horns, right in front of us, sometimes as close as 15-20 feet away. And every time I call him, he comes. So I'm pretty confident now it will continue in this vein. But I'm always vigilant, because in the forest, deer and other animals just seem to pop out at any time. Well, it's getting dark now. That's the end of my woodland walk with Dieter and Quintus, and it was an adventure. We saw lots of animals, especially the deer, which I referred to earlier, and I was very, very pleased with the result. So let's just go back a little while and remember, to get to this advanced stage where I have an 8-month-old puppy that will not chase deer, sheep, horses or other wild animals or domesticated, it was a slow action of link learning, training the dog to come to me, making it fun for the dog to come to me. I didn't use food in his case, because I rarely use food for the recall unless I have an extremely difficult dog. But of course, if a dog's already chased and you're a behaviourist and you're trying to help somebody, food often will not work, because the motivation for a dog to pursue and relive what it's already learned, embedded in its mind, and moreover compounding a natural instinct to pursue and chase, which is normal, you will have to use long lines. You will have to use some discipline at times. And sometimes people say, well, I don't want to use anything negative. Well, unfortunately, the real negative, that he runs off after sheep, he'll be shot. If you don't let him off the lead in these sort of places, and you happen to live there, you don't live in the middle of the city, then the dog is not going to have a healthy lifestyle. It's not actually going to be a dog running free. And some people would argue that that in itself is a cruelty, locking a dog on a lead for the rest of its life. So the dog should learn, as my dog has done, from puppyhood, what he can do, what he can't do. The overriding emphasis should always be that the dog should bond with you. It should want to be with you. It should be looking at you. It should be also looking for the reward of being praised for performing for you. After all, outside training, the dog generally has the other 23.5 hours a day to do what it wants. So it's not a lot to ask. But Quintus, like my older dog Dieter, will hopefully have a long life, and in maybe 3 or 4 months' time, I will be pretty certain he's now fully trained and habituated to ignoring all the wildlife we meet. But I'm always attentive and you have to be attentive, ready for that moment. Even when I'm speaking now, a deer could suddenly creep out of these trees, so I have to have eyes in the back of my head. But training dogs not to pursue domestic animals or wildlife, especially when you live in those areas like I do, it's very important that you start early and you do all the training I've done. And now it's back to go home, to take them and feed them, and that's the end of their day on their woodland adventure. Let's look at some of the work I put into Quintus over the past 6 months. Now he's ignored